That night turned my world upside down in a way I never could have imagined. After 2 decades of marriage, raising 2 beautiful children, and believing we had built an unshakable life together, I was blindsided. I came home earlier than usual, completely unaware that everything I knew was about to unravel. When I stepped into our bedroom, I froze. My wife stood there with an expression so resolute it made my chest tighten. For a moment, I wondered, was she planning a spontaneous trip for the two of us? Or was I staring straight into the face of a betrayal that would crush everything I thought we had? Before I take you deeper into what happened, I need to warn you, this story isn't easy. If you choose to keep listening, be prepared to see how quickly a seemingly perfect life can collapse. My name is Bill Miller, and this is how I discovered the truth. At the time, Lori and I had just celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary. We first met in college and married soon after graduation. Together, we had 2 daughters, Kelly and Erin. Kelly had just begun her first year at a state university, while Erin was preparing to finish high school. About 6 weeks earlier, we had dropped Kelly off at her dorm, and Erin was already leaning toward following her sister to the same campus. Like most siblings, they argued often, but their bond was deep. Kelly's absence left a quiet emptiness in our home. While we were proud of her and excited for this new chapter, the adjustment wasn't easy, especially for Lori. I worked as a partner at a major accounting firm, and Lori had built a career as a supervisor at a construction materials company. Ironically, she'd studied English in college, but her path had veered into business instead. Financially, we were stable, our home was beautiful, we both drove new cars, and our life was comfortable. On the surface, everything seemed secure. But in the weeks after Kelly left for school, I noticed Lori pulling away emotionally. I chalked it up to the empty nest feeling and told myself it was nothing serious. That Friday, I decided to surprise her. With Erin away at a school camp for the weekend, it was the perfect chance for just the two of us. I left the office early, determined to rekindle our closeness with a quiet, romantic evening. I could sense something was off, but rather than confront it head-on, I thought maybe a thoughtful gesture would help us reconnect. Pulling into the driveway, I noticed her car already parked in the garage. She, too, had come home earlier than usual. I stepped inside, calling out cheerfully, "Honey, I'm home." From down the hall, her voice replied, "I'm here." When I entered the bedroom, my breath caught. She was standing in front of the mirror, carefully applying her makeup. She wore the black dress I had bought her last Christmas, paired with the pearl necklace I'd given her. Beside her lay an open suitcase, half filled with clothes. For a split second, I thought she was getting ready for a surprise trip, maybe even a weekend escape for just the two of us. My pulse quickened with hope. "Are we going somewhere?" I asked cautiously. "You didn't tell me, but I can pack quickly. Where are we headed?" The anticipation in my voice quickly faded as she lowered her eyes. Her words came slowly, cutting sharper than any blade. "Bill, I'm sorry, but I'm going away this weekend, with someone else. I'm going on a date." "I wasn't planning on telling you," Lori began, her voice steady but strangely detached. "But since you came home earlier than expected, you deserve to know the truth." Her words struck me like a thunderclap. A date. The sound of it repeated in my head, echoing like some cruel taunt. How could that word even belong in the same universe as marriage? For a moment, I wondered if this was some kind of twisted prank. My chest tightened as I stammered, "A date? What are you talking about, Lori? We're not in an open marriage. How could you possibly think this is acceptable?" My voice broke under the weight of disbelief and pain. Her reply was calm, unnervingly so. "Bill, it's just for the weekend. Ever since Kelly left for school, I felt adrift. This is like therapy for me. I need to clear my head, to figure myself out. By Monday morning, I'll come back as the same Lori. Nothing between us has to change." A cold chill spread through my veins. "This is insane, Lori. How long has this been going on? Who is he? Are you having an affair?" "No," she shot back quickly, almost offensively. "It isn't an affair. We've only met a few times for lunch, nothing serious. It's just a fling, a one-off. He's married too, with kids. This won't affect us. I just need a break, for the weekend. Please, try to understand." The word understand ignited a wildfire inside me. Understand? How could she expect me to rationalize something that shredded the very core of our vows? I bit down on my anger and whispered, my voice raw with disbelief, So you think spending the weekend in another man's arms is somehow good for our marriage? Her gaze hardened, her tone resolute. Yes. I need to feel alive again, to feel young, attractive, wanted. This is something I must do. I need you to give me this weekend as a gift. When I return, everything will go back to normal. As I stared at her, I realized I no longer recognized the woman in front of me. She wasn't the partner I had loved for decades. She was a stranger, and I was left speechless. Finally, I exhaled slowly and said, "If this is truly what you've decided, then it's your choice. But hear me, until that car arrives to take you, you still have time to change your mind. Keep your phone on the entire time. That's not for control, it's for your safety." She hesitated, then nodded. "All right. But promise me you won't interfere or try to sabotage this." I forced myself to agree, though inside I was seething. A storm raged within me, but I kept my face expressionless. I had already begun shaping my response, the first steps toward reclaiming myself. Lori zipped up her suitcase and waited. I sat silently, battling the urge to beg her to stay, but my pride wouldn't allow me to grovel. Minutes later, the sound of a car horn broke the tension. She picked up her bag and walked out without once glancing back. Just like that, she was gone. I stood frozen for a moment, then pulled out my phone, my pulse pounding. If Lori thought this weekend was her escape, it would be mine as well, but in a far different way. There was someone from my past I had once cared for deeply, someone I had never pursued because of my loyalty to Lori. Her name was Sarah. My fingers trembled as I dialed. When her voice answered, warm, familiar, comforting, it felt like being pulled back into a safer time. "Bill," she said softly. "It's been years. I always wondered how you were." I swallowed hard and explained everything. Lori's shocking decision, the betrayal, and how I couldn't go on in this marriage anymore. Sarah was quiet for a moment before asking gently, "What do you need from me right now?" "I once promised you," I said, my voice thick with emotion, "that if my marriage ever came to an end, I'd call. Well, here I am. I need to see you. To talk." There wasn't a pause of hesitation. Sarah welcomed me over. When she opened her door, her smile eased the chaos in my heart. That evening, we sat together for hours, talking about Lori, about the years that had slipped by, and about the bond Sarah and I had once shared but never acted on. What began as a conversation slowly unlocked feelings I had long buried. I realized I didn't want just a single night with Sarah, I wanted a future. That weekend, while Lori chased her illusion of freedom, I found something real. Being with Sarah, emotionally and physically, filled a void I hadn't even recognized. When Lori returned on Sunday evening, she carried herself with a strange confidence. Smiling, she said, "See? Nothing's different. I'm back as the same Lori." But she couldn't have been more wrong. Everything had changed. Something in me had shifted permanently. As she spoke, her words felt distant, as though I were analyzing them from afar. When she finished, I looked her in the eye and said firmly, "This weekend made one thing clear to me. Our marriage is over. I may find it in my heart to forgive someday, but I cannot continue as your husband. Tomorrow, I'll begin the divorce process." Her expression faltered, relief flashing for an instant before morphing into shock and fear. She cried, begged, tried to take it back, but my resolve was immovable. The divorce went quickly and fairly. I explained everything to Kelly and Aaron, urging them not to lose love for their mother despite her mistakes. In time, they adjusted. As for Sarah and me, what started that weekend blossomed into something beautiful. We fell deeply in love, married, and built a family of our own, welcoming 2 wonderful children together. I also grew incredibly close to her son, Jacob, who became like my own. Looking back, I realized that weekend of betrayal was also my turning point, the painful breaking that led to something far greater. Lori lost me because of her reckless choices. But in that loss, I gained the truest love I had ever known. Thank you for staying with me until the end. This was one chapter in my journey, and I hope it reminds you to protect, cherish, and never take for granted the people who truly matter.